Ay, 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 ay. So welcome here to everybody. I'm doing a recording instead of going live because I've sort of been burning candles at all ends, sides and spaces, if that makes any sense. Trying to get things collaborated with people, trying to stop and take note, but there's so much to take note of. That can be a bit of a trick too. So the psychic thoughts, the intuitions, the empathy has been in overdrive, quite literally. And so I'm trying to fit everything in, but it is difficult at the moment. But I think taking into account what is going on right now, the amount of things that are needing to be transmuted and understood, and the amount of distraction and propaganda that's being thrown towards us, you do have to just stop, recognize where we are and plan. Make plans, make connections, make resources, because that's where we are at right now. For anybody who is not on the sleeping side of the narrative, I think that's recognized within each and every one of us, that this is a huge turning point in humanity. And right now, they're getting away with it. And plans are going ahead, plans are coming to the fore. They're not really getting too much resistance, even the people on the streets, because those that are really pushing and really getting things happening, i.e., getting nurses to walk out from certain centres, is powerful, yes, but it is only in pockets. The rest are, even those who've been slightly awake, are complacent and apathetic right now. The understandable giving up type of energy, giving up, giving in, being okay with different rules that might come in, as long as there's some hope, some promise of going back to the norm. So that's what we're dealing with right now. And, if you're not prepared, get prepared. If you're not willing to sell out to the narrative, then get prepared. It's an intense time. So I want to just recap on a few things and just flow and just talk and see what comes up, because as I said before, there is so much bombarding information, propaganda, spells, that you do have to be careful of how much you take in. And you do have to, when you've got so much to choose from, it's hard to pinpoint. So I thought just a flowing discussion, channeling of whatever information comes forward. So to reflect on some things that are making a whole lot of sense right now, to reflect on some things going back to me talking about in private on here a long time ago, about this black goo. I spoke about it recently, I feel, on one of the videos, if I remember rightly. And I've hinted towards it for sure in a few readings now. And the black goo is integral to what's going on right now. And you can sometimes feel crazy saying things or knowing things and then speaking them out. because it seems so out there, it seems so far-fetched, even for me sometimes, that I think, really, Jenny, really? But then I get this push, let's say it feels like from my soul, that I have no choice but to put it out. So I do that. And now that we're looking at this black goo issue, and we're thinking about things like graph, and then, in, and me speaking about me knowing that that was also a derivative of black goo. To reflect on this stuff and go deeper into some of the visions that I have with, or had with, the black goo, and it's the recurring. So I know when they're recurring also that, that's something to take note of. And so this black goo, a substance that literally is as described, it looks black and it's goo-y, sort of. Let's say you were walking past a pool of this stuff, and you get a random thought to put your hand into it and touch it and feel it. There is a transfer in that touch, that in that moment you're sort of imprinted upon by this stuff in your consciousness to continue to hold your hand there. It's black and it's goo. It's not attractive, but something in you wants to keep your hand in this pool of black goo. And this transfer of consciousness happening while you're lulled into this sort of wanting, or feeling like you're in this sort of wanting energy to hold your hands in it. A little bit like the old vampire stories, that if you look into their eyes, you can make them forget what they've seen. You can connect to their consciousness enough that you can sort of wipe a whole file out. That was shown in one of the programs. So you're lulled into this time of being imprinted upon, being drawn in, and this transfer has time to take hold. I said a while ago, in the sense incorporated in this story, stroke vision, that this stuff would be, or create, a host, a circuit board, a connection to a completely different knowing of what is capable of such things, what technology style things are so capable of. And this stuff, it connects to these beings that are so different. But it's not just one thing, it's the fact that these beings, I feel, have put their consciousness through various means such as this, various codes that are found in substances, whether they are bodily fluids, bodily substances, DNA, blood cells. They've always been getting better and better at hooking in. And so I feel this is what drives the eugenicist type of puppets. And these lines of people continue being birthed into the same, what we would call DNA lines. The host body is actually birthed in via code on a certain date, on a certain time, in a certain year, to a certain person. All of that being like code. So these capabilities of bringing this forward into the collective, terraforming the body, and you see that looking into the collective, you see that in the programming, the coding of these TikTok influencers, Instagram influencers, Facebook, all of them, making those ridiculous videos of how excited, I'm so excited, I'm going to this center, I'm so excited, I feel so blessed and lucky that, this is capable to be such a thing for a person like me. That's coding, that's programming. And you look into the collective and you see that they almost have taken on this coding through this like back door of influence to almost enjoy the various aspects that vid has made, i.e. there's a laziness in the collective, there's a laziness and an apathy in a lot of the collective, in that they've gotten into the routine of even being programmed to rush home for 7 o'clock for the soaps starting on the TV, and literally spending through the various clever coding of one soap on one channel, then the other one starts bang straight away, then the other one on the other channel again. They even work together as channels as to, to create this stream of apathy and laziness. And so, lockdowns and a laziness towards even building friendships, even entertaining people, even, taking the time to be in relationship with other people. They're quite happy to have lost that because they're lazy. They're too lazy to do that. The victimhood, card, that there are a lot of people in the collective who enjoy being victims, So, even posting up videos of how they've fallen victim to what the infusion has done to their body. But, vid would have been so much worse than my heart swelling, so much worse, than a blood clot, so much worse than neurological symptoms, and programming again, and there are many in the collective, picking up on that code, picking up on that programming, and, being quite happy to fulfill the victim role. So they're already worked on, they're already coded a lot of the way to allow to be the sheep that just stands there and allows the wolf to eat it. They're coded to accept that. So they're already primed to allow something of a genocide of humanity to go ahead. They're already primed and programmed to ignore the human rights of freedom and sovereignty of others. They're already programmed to accept that it would be a good thing for the government to have more control. And the main ingredient of that programming throughout all of this, throughout all of centuries of this, is fear. Fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of death. Fear, fear, fear. So that's the main ingredient or underwriting of all of this coding that goes on. And this black goo is coding, terraforming the body, the space, in technological ways that are beyond the collective's understanding, beyond their wildest dreams. And then my mind jumps to remote viewing and visions that I've had regarding, and I've spoken out quite a bit about it, about me seeing them working on the body, knowing that the body is an orchestra of organs that give off a frequency, each organ giving off a different frequency, each organ representative of a different planet. You know, even the plasma in the blood, you know, as the inner cosmos. Even the neurological lines, the nerves, the pathways, giving off a frequency. And these remote viewings and visions being that of these elitists, eugenicists, knowing about the orchestra, knowing about the organs, the body, and knowing about the kind of technology that these different keys, these different organs play. And then what the frequency of that can do. But it's not just China doing this, as I've always said, it's these elites, the eugenicists, these beings harnessing China to do this. You know, pushing other countries' governments like the UK, like the US, to illegalize certain gains of functions and things like that. again, to make this complacency, this apathy in the collective about something that is so dark because it's in a different country, because it's happening to different people, because it's outside of the scope of our care. And, so this has been going on, and they keep these people alive while they're doing it for as long as needed anyway, as long as possible. And when you think of the body as a magnet, which it is, with poles, which it has, and we have more of an understanding of how certain ships move via magnet, i.e. a magnetized field pushing forward and the craft pulling into it, which would be free energy. It would be a free energy ride. It will be using the magnetic sphere outside of itself to propel itself. So we've got these frequencies being worked on via each organ. This leads to also them obviously testing the capacities to then incorporate black goo into the equation, into the mix. Now, I said in a reading of the same vision about black goo, about this, it was a reading, the replicating, self-replicating substance. You can see it almost energetically crawling around the body of those with the infusion. Because again, there's going to be more and more information coming out that, this graph ... ene is a derivative of black goo. This would be a technologically advanced way of terraforming, not so much the planet in this case, but the body. Preparing those bodies that survive the infusion for the capabilities of them to be told things, hear things, not by what most in the collective would call a god, but controlled actually by these beings at the top at the moment, these puppets, these elite, these eugenicists, the higher echelons of government, the ABCs, whoever. It's hackable. If you're able to enter it, you're able to hack it. For those that survive this special infusion, their bodies would literally become the AI walking, talking robot. But again, there'll be apathy to this. Even when more and more information comes out, there'll be apathy to this in the collective, because even to a lot of the awake people who aren't willing to allow their mind to see past a certain point, the apathy and complacency more so will come within the collective, because instead of the AI dancing robots that we've been conditioned to look at and be distracted by, these people, these robots, will look just like the people we've always known, that we've maybe always cared about, always loved. So there'll be an apathy to exactly just how deep they're going in with this plan, and how serious it is. Again, I mentioned, and I've mentioned quite a bit, the DNA being a spiral, a connection to ancestral lines, a portal, a screwdriver able to twist into knowings from ancestors, able to bring things forward up and down that spiral. And that this infusion was actively cutting off that line. Literally making it from that point like it doesn't exist. So how much information, how much knowing will go away with that cut, with that sever? They've been working on soul energy connection for a long time. And there's something about the black goo that is able to absorb that. And it feels like this is going to have a huge impact on many dimensions, on many timelines. That is unknown to us right now. The ramifications of this whole thing, that was able to be introduced worldwide into the collective via a location spell. They sold people the fear of, the actual thing itself, code ... vid. They literally gave them a pack to locate something that was not there, because these tests weren't fit for purpose. And anybody still questioning that, you can look at the C-D -C saying such a thing. And this locator spell has been introduced by genius, because they're pushing something up orifices to find something that isn't there, creating even more illusion, having fun and with it, laughing at the collective for falling for that. Even when good people were putting out the information not to do so, and why. So then this locator spell has an on and off switch that they are in control of. So it's a really tight spell. And now they've switched it off. You know, they want it to be switched off. Why? Because the result of, partly the result of what they wanted through all of this has come to pass in a great way, i.e. there have been lots of infusions given. And just when they need to continue with that locator spell for the illusion of something that wasn't there for this particular locator device to find, they've got people hooked all ends and sides. So they switch it off at the very time that the impact of people dying, people suffering is being felt, courtesy of the infusions. It's genius. It's absolutely genius. Again, that's a lot of coding. So the terraforming of the body with this substance is going to give it the capability to be a key, a doorway to these beings that are called AI to many, but actually, again, that's, I feel, the limited thinking of the indoctrination that humans have gone through. Because what is artificial? But more to the point, I feel it's getting used to the fact that there are many life forms on many dimensions that are so different to what we see as a being that they're hard to comprehend. I also had a vision about, you know, what you would call in our verbiage AI, but these things were sparks, mists of colors, doing things super fast and acting like components to work together, and then another one flitting off to be a component and make something else work. And for it to be very electrical, what we would call electrical. They're going to be able to harness the consciousness through these infusions, and for the living and the dead, that they're going to be able to control what comes actually into these people. Again, what we would sort of call possession. And people are going to see some really strange, difficult to comprehend things in people that they feel look the same as the people that they've known and loved, or just known. That they'll all of a sudden take sudden actions that are so far from who they usually are, or who they've always been, that they shock and they hurt people around them through those actions. You're going to hear a lot more people saying, you know, somebody who would never have an affair all of a sudden had the wildest affair, and almost being very nonchalant about it, you know. These are the inklings and the murmurings of, I suppose, a new way of thinking about walking entities. So there's the difficult position, I feel, for those who are awake and aware to witness this, and to actually maybe have to get to the point to get around in their heads that you would have to, I don't want to go as far as to say what I know is on my mind, but act differently towards these bodies that look the same as the people that you once knew. And you know, it feels like these people who survive the infusion will very much so be able to be directed via what they perceive as a voice in their head to take certain actions, to act certain ways. Again, that's going to be a difficult position for those who are awake and aware as to what the response will have to be towards something like that, as to what warranted response is there. This is all linking in now, all of the plans, all of the laws being changed or redacted in the UK regarding the gene editing. CERN and others like it. Bringing in, I mean, I've had visions of CERN, I've told Wayne about one of them, very different looking beings. They're ancient. They're ancient. When you remote view that and you feel them, they are ancient beings. And it does get to the point where, because of the apathy and complacency of the human, and in the many of the collective that is, it's this is so weird, isn't it? If sometimes when you're talking about it and you realize that, damn, this is strange. We're in like this crazy exciting time. although it's awful at the same time, because you do sort of stop and hear yourself and think also that because of the many's apathy and complacency, these ancient beings, it feels like we're just chess pieces on a board. And the big fun, the big excitement happens at the top table, so to speak, as to this lust, this constant wanting for power over the humans. Crazy. And to leave it for now, because I know I've waffled on for quite a while, and this is more of a meditative talk, look over the things that I've been seeing and the things I've tried to warn about and the things that I've said and the new ways of them tying together, is that yes, it might be true that these ancient beings treat the human as chess pieces on a board. You know, like Monopoly. They're making treaties, making deals and fighting also regarding who gets to put a hotel first on their street. So the one good thing I can really think of to end this with, and it's not that just that there's one good thing, there's many. Well, maybe there's two to end on, is that if we are such a expensive, well worth it commodity, if for some reason these ancients actually, because of the knowledge that they've maintained, jumping into the same lines also, is that then we must be very, very powerful when we are not limited, when we're not conditioned and controlled. Or we must just have such a luscious amount of energy, amount of power, pound for pound, to make it so worth it. So it's up to us to really get back into connection with self and really harness the knowings again, the inner standings of who we really are and what we're really capable of. And that does hit you hard in a good way when you stop and recognize that. But also, I would say that a little second point would be that we really do need to start harnessing and incorporating the ancient knowledge that we do have regarding connecting with ancestors, regarding, as Wayne's been covering brilliantly, reconnecting with angels, the angelic realm, which I feel in a great way is almost reconnecting with ourselves and with ancestors, in that there's obviously been a mix in there along the lines at different points in time. That really we need to harness everything we can right now, and connect the dots as much as we can right now to be able to have a hope in hell of turning this around. But the good thing about that is that in a lot of the, not all, but in a lot of the awake community that I'm in, that I'm witnessing, there is a huge amount of reconnection going on. There is a huge amount of understanding, the knowledge and connections going on. And you can see it firing them up. You can see them becoming much more of an empath, much more of an intuitive, much more of a psychic. So the opportunities in the duality that we're in, some are going to sleep and giving not just their body over, but their source energy, their soul energy. And they're doing it willingly, like the sheep that lets the wolf eat it without trying to move. So yeah, in the duality, it's extreme. It's that Two of Pentacles that keeps coming up. But on the other side of that extreme is this awakening that people are getting through this reconnection of not just knowing self, but knowing the resources that creates, regarding magic, regarding connection with angels, regarding connection with ancestors, regarding energetic connections, you know, through your frequency, through your energy points, connecting to other energy points around you and feeling them. That's the beautiful thing. And that's what I hold on to still. And that is what I'm manifesting to become so prolific, that those who are awake and aware find the strength to attempt to stop this once and for all. We've been told it has to be this way because it's been this way all the time. It's been this way of this control over us. It has to be this way. But why it doesn't? It hasn't even always been this way, even in the history that they teach. So it doesn't have to be this way. And let's face it, things are such a mess. It's worth the go of having of a different kind of system, of a different kind of the way that we work with each other. What we, the people, allow and don't allow, i.e. how much control one group of elites has over a collective, over a government, for goodness sake. So we can change things. We've got every chance to change things. Unfortunately, the impact and the damage that has already been done and continues to be done is going to create some problems real soon. In September, I feel we're going to start to see the real ramifications of this infusion for many. Which isn't a nice vision, I've got to admit. 24th of September. You know, Boris is either gonna, it feels like there's gonna be a terror event in the UK towards the end of September. Again, that will bring the divide, it will weaken the community because of the terrible, terrible, terrible actions of the UK and US government because of the way things have been done. You know, in the UK, that it sounds crass, but it's going to open up a need for the government to be able to get away with bringing a lot of refugees to this country. They're going to be doing that when they're really kicking off their attempts to create, manufacture food shortages. So communities that are forced to take in refugees, though the British people are absolutely 99% of the time taking them into their hearts. It's not as simple as that. It's going to be that those people are already feeling stress regarding shortages, regarding fuel prices. So bringing that amount of refugees to any one place will bring communities to their knees and close even more small businesses. Wow. That was intense. That felt like a movie script of a culmination of all the different visions and events, and then researchers that have come up, you know, after such visions. See it sort of zone out and just let it flow. And then you put it all together like that and you think, damn, this is crazy. But what do we expect? We're allowing crazy people, if you can even call them that. You know, the English language is very limiting. I'm sure there'll be some things in Latin or Hebrew, you know, or Persian even, that would describe them far better. Because it might be what looks like a human body, but it's certainly not a human inside in consciousness. So that's what we've got at the top. So this is what we're dealing with at the bottom. Crazy at the top, crazy at the bottom. So crazy times indeed. So yeah, that was just a culmination, a flow, a channeling, a catch up as to where we're at and how this is all coming together real neatly, as far as what parts of what their action plans are. Seems to be coming together very nicely for them. So if we're going to do something, we need to do it very quick. I used to say change today, be China tomorrow. That still stands. Change today or be Australia tomorrow. Because that's where we're heading if we don't do something. Australia being a desperate case of tyranny and control of a prison country. Having a real tough time. See, I'm zoning off again because it's just, there's so much. But, I do what I do and then I'm fine again. I'm, enjoying these times too, because, in these extremes, you'd have to dig down deep to still be getting things done and doing all of the extra things, like making those connections. But, that's me ducking and diving, that's me rolling. And I like that. I'm a Gemini. That's what we do best. We get on. And so I'm doing that in high spirits. So I don't know about you. Leave a comment, let me know. But, in the duality of the situations, there are such awesome and beautiful things happening regarding relationships among people, regarding the energies of pulling together with certain people. It's exciting. Making strategies to make sure that needs are met for people in the collective that don't want to go with the narrative. It's exciting and it's breathtaking at times. And I suppose you've got to look in your mind's eye at that dirty old concrete, dull, hard on your feet, doing nothing. And then you look in this tiny crack and there is this delicate little flower. Big Brother will know about that. And you notice it even more because it is this delicate little thing that is pushed through rock hard concrete, found a crack somewhere just enough to live and look beautiful and bring a smile to people who pass it. And that is the duality of the situation, in that the real friendships, the real people, the helping each other, all of that is that beautiful, delicate little flower being shown all the more for the hardship that it's in that concrete. And that is something that is blowing me away, to be honest, because that is something that is very, very beautiful and delicate and pure, so that's where I am with that. Doing the alchemy, transmuting the energies after they've been spoken about and letting them go. And in preparing for whatever might come, having fun while doing so, with genuine people. So anyway, that is my talk, my rant, my channeling, my whatever, my catch up. I appreciate you all for listening. I know when I go off into visions, I can zone out, and probably did quite a few times. Thank you for bearing with me. It's a different thing, I know, from what I usually put out. But, I like to have these catch-ups. I like to have these look-agains to be able to really try and push what I know out there, in order for other people wiser than me to even take that further, maybe, or just to be in preparedness for themselves. So anyway, I love you all very, very much. My voice is going. I'm going to go and rest a bit and get some sleep, hopefully. And then I'll see you tomorrow. We're doing something through the day, but I'll make sure I catch up on the evening. Much love, much balance always, and much wholeness. Mwah.